Welcome back, folks, to the CC Zone, Season 2, Episode 5. I am Brankos, joined by Orion. Orion, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk about this past week of games and excited to talk about, as we're meeting the midway point, just how exactly the league is kind of shaping up in terms of the standings.
And before we get to the standings and the teams, let's also talk about how, Orion, you said after week 3 you would be perfect in pick'ems. That's not been the case. I want you to explain to those in the chat on why you have failed to complete your mission.
Let's see. I think the week before I was 9-1, I believe, and then I think this week I was also 9-1 because Horizon just had to lose to Sensei Squad, unfortunately. But it is what it is.
All right, well, let's get to the Wednesday standings. At the top, we have DNX. Orion, this team has been nothing short but phenomenal. I mean, Shady Gecko has been having a phenomenal season. Panzora in the top side. Why are people giving him Mordekaiser? What about the squad do you love? Like, is it just the fact that they know how to play through the 5, or is it the fact that they just continue to find different ways to win?
I think the main thing with DNX is just they're probably the most consistent team at the top of the table. Day in and day out, they haven't had hardly any hiccups. They've been steamrolling almost every team they've played so far, and that's just a sign of a really good team. I mean, obviously, we've been really high on Hard Hat for most of the year, but even they've dropped 2 individual games so far, and the games they have dropped were pretty much stomps. So, and that's why DNX is sitting at the top of the table due to just the game record, even though their series record is tied. So, when they do end up facing off in their match, definitely gonna be a huge match to look for, because I feel like both teams, like, they see each other as the top of the teams in their respective group. So have to wait and see how that match ends up playing out. I do think at the current state of Hard Hat, DNX does win the match, but I do think it'll be very, very close.
And one thing I thought was very poignant is that beginning of the season, we were talking about Horizon, we were talking about Hard Hat Zone. But DNX, they talked about how, hey, we stumbled in the play-in tournament or the lock-in, and they felt like they knew how to play the game, and they retooled. They got a new jungler, and I mean, look at them. When I see some of their matches, when I look at the stats, when I look at just the overall drafting, it just feels like they are working on all cylinders. There's not like a, hey, do we have a difference in opinion on how we're going to play this game? They can look at Panzora and say, hey, we want you to play the carry, or hey, we want you to play the tank. So I think that's just been super great for them. And as you were pointing out, Hard Hat, I mean, yes, they're 5-0, but they're 10-2 in their last 2 matches. They've given up a match. Do you think Hard Hat, or do you think that they're starting to stumble and we may see them lose this week? Or do you feel like this is just a couple of, stumbles on the road as they try to continue that perfect record?
I would say probably just like some slight stumbling. I know against TA Light they had to put alternative as their AD carry, and they used BBB mid only as their sub mid laner. I'm not sure what particular reason what that was. And I also heard through the grapevine that they had some internet issues, and while that's not really much of an excuse to drop a game because they did end up winning the entire series, I would say mostly just like a small stumble. I feel like I said earlier, just to kind of reiterate it, the big test for both of these teams is their matchup when they actually end up playing. That's going to be the clear, okay, who is the best team in Wednesday? Because until they actually play their match, it's going to be really hard to say who's actually the best.
Now, let's take a look at the next team on that list. And third is DGO. I think DGO, we talked about how sometimes they struggle with like the pace of the game. We've seen a couple of times where it's like, oh man, they had a 40-minute match. Yes, they win, but it's like, do you necessarily need a 40-minute match against okay or Zeal Blue? But I think one thing that we need to keep in mind is that this team is 4-1 and they are finding ways to win. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a team that, Hard Hat or DNX needs to keep an eye out. What do you see from DGO?
Yeah, I do think that Dorado Gaming can definitely take games off of Hard Hat Zone and DNX if they're not careful, if they're not taking them super seriously. I don't think they're quite good enough to take the complete series against them. I do see Dorado Gaming as being like the 3 or the 4 seed for sure, along right up there with TA Knight. I think they've shown a lot of promise. They just need to refine a couple of things, maybe like execute things in a little bit smoother fashion, and they should be able to retool themselves to try to compete for those top 2 spots. But with how dominant Hard Hat Zone and DNX have been, and I do believe those, I don't know, they've either played DNX or Hard Hat Zone and they got 2-0'd So they've already played their one match against them. So it's not like they're going to have a chance to kind of retake that spot from them. But they've only played one of those teams. I had to go back and look just to make sure. But I do think they're a pretty clear third or fourth place team, so they're very easy. They're going to have a good matchup in playoffs. Have to wait and see how like they come in best of fives, because like with the longer matches that you play, especially in a best of five, if you're playing like 5 games, every game is 40 to 45 plus minutes. Those games can be very, very draining.
And the thing is, the top 5 of the Wednesday standings, it's very close still. Mm-hmm. When I take a look at like TA Knight, they lost. They did not have a good week, but they made some changes. And ADC is now the top side. We had some changes throughout their roster. How do you feel about those changes? And do you think that this is going to be, do you think this is going to propel them to that top side? Because I know they still have to go through DNX and through Hard Hat Zone just to get into the top 2.
Yeah, I'm honestly not so sure on the changes. I feel like Yulvarek going into the top lane, he was probably the best performer on TA Knight along with Snowlife. Those two were like one of the main reasons they were having so much success in their games. And if he's able to translate how well he was playing into that top side, and the new AD carry they have coming in is able to keep up the dominance that Snowlife and Yulvarek was having in that lane, then obviously they will be able to be a better functioning team. But I honestly don't personally seeing it go too well for them. I mean, hopefully they can prove me wrong and they can continue to show that level of dominance that they have been showing. But I personally would have liked to have had Yulvarek and Snowlife stay together. But this is the internal choice that they're making. Obviously, we don't know the inside story. We don't particularly know the reason why they're splitting up. But hopefully it works out for the best for them.
Well, I mean, Snowlife, I asked him in the trash talk chat. I was like, "Hey, why are you guys going this route?" And he made it very simple. He didn't try to hide. He said, "Hey, with our new ADC, I feel like that is, chemistry. I've played with him before, so I feel as though with TA Knight, this wasn't like a, hey, we had a rough week. Let's just blow it up now." I feel like they said, "Hey, let's try this," because I think with this week, if I'm not mistaken, they're going up against Red Panda Gaming. What a team to go up against and to test this out, right? So I feel like that might be in their best interest, because let's say it does work out. Then you can go into your next week and say, hey, let's see if we can continue that. Or if you do see some struggles, maybe retooling or go back to the drawing board. So I think TA Knight is in a good spot though, because at 3-2, they're just right below, some of those top teams. But another team that they had beaten though, TA Light. TA Light won, or this week had some struggles. They lost to Hard Hat. And it just feels like with TA Light, it's like they get so close and then they just fall back. They were riding high, then they got stopped by TA Knight. And then this week, it's like, oh man, like, can they pull it off? Can they knock off one of the top teams? And they just fall short. Do you think TA Light might try to look at maybe changing something with their lineups, or do you think that they have the tools to keep going?
Well, I do believe that TA Light had Dallas on one of their like original like kind of 10-man rosters where they had like a 5-man roster and then a 5-man sub list. But now that he is on TA Knight, that no longer gives them that option to move Dallas in. So there's that. But at the same time, like you mentioned for TA Light, like I didn't necessarily get to watch the entire stream of them versus Hard Hat, but I tuned in for a little bit and saw that they were smoking Hard Hat in game 1, and I was like, oh snap! Like if they end up upsetting Hard Hat Zone, like that immediately propels them as being like an easy top 3 team. For them to fight for that top 3rd spot. But Hard Hat ended up pulling it together. Maybe Hard Hat went into the match saying like, "Hey, this is TA Light. Like, they're they're not necessarily a higher up team. Like, we can kind of take it easy on them." But like I mentioned, they had the mid sub, they had alternative in the AD carry role, so they weren't necessarily with their the full 5 minutes been having so much powerful and success. So hopefully, TA Light is able to kind of like recoup. They took a pretty, I wouldn't necessarily say devastating loss, but a loss that they, especially after winning game 1, you definitely could probably feel that they could have won that series if they just maybe had a better execution, some of their things. some of their fights and just how just the game ended up playing. I'm pretty sure game 2 and game 3 just weren't particularly close. Hard Hat just closed them out very, very quickly. So maybe it's just like respecting your opponent a little bit better from Hard Hat's zone there.
Well, that's the thing is in game 3, it was like 22 in kills. So it just feels maybe they are on the cusp of figuring something out, but if they want to have a serious shot in the playoffs, they really need to figure out how they're going to play around some of these guys. Because ADC ARAM is, to me, he's a serviceable ADC. I mean, game 1, he had 8 kills on Israel. But then, like, in game 3, when he goes 1-3-1, and I know that stats isn't everything in terms of, like, where it is. But, like, Dr. Phil and Chill had a rough time in the mid lane. Spoozy had a rough time in the jungle. Where do you go as a team? Who do you play through? It just doesn't feel like they have a focal point. Like, last year with Collective, you had Philly B. Like, that was the guy that everyone turned to. You're like, hey, go win us the game if you can. So I feel like if TA Light can find that spark, and if Dr. Phil and Chill can add another champion to his pool, because when you have Victor and they ban it out, cool, you have a ban out. Now go find another champion that they have to ban out so you can have your other teammates have someone to play. But going back to the standings, we've gone through TA Light. Now the defending champs, the Collective Effort, they've been on a little bit of a roll. They've actually won some games, and I know it's it was against Yaoke, and Yaoke is not the greatest of teams, but Collective did it, and it feels like they're starting to hit a stride. How do you feel about them as the defending champs trying to make a run at it?
Yeah, I think the win over Yaoke Infinite was a pretty big win for this team. It kind of separated them from being like a clear 7th and a clear 6th. Like Red Panda Gaming is sitting at 1-4 with a 3-9 game record. Collective Effort is 2-3 with a 6-7 game record. So there's a pretty clear distinction between who are the playoff teams and who are the teams kind of fighting for whether or not you're like qualifying for a tourney spot or you're just straight up eliminated, which is most likely going to be the Red Panda, Blue Esports, Yaoke Infinite, and Zeal Blue. Those 4 teams are kind of fighting for it. So, but for Collective Effort, I do think this team has been playing together better than what they started at the beginning of the season. Also, in the beginning of the season, they've already kind of gone through some of the tougher opponents. So if they're able to kind of run the table, we could start seeing them sneak back up into maybe like a 4th or a 5th position. Right now, they're currently in 6th. If TA Knight and TA Light aren't particularly careful about keeping their playoff spot. I mean, obviously, Collective Effort has been what I would say a bit of a meme so far, and so the kind of CCS, especially for winning the entire thing last split and having the MVP on our team. Basically, you had the same guy coming back, and all of a sudden, he started losing and he wasn't performing. All of a sudden, it's was he really that good last split, or are the teams coming in just that much better than what Collective Effort are? So hopefully, they're able to kind of pick up where they left off from last split, saying, "Hey, we know how to play this game. We know how to play together. Let's start figuring ways out how we actually played the game last split and take it into this split."
And you were saying there is that split, right, between Collective Effort and the rest of the teams. Red Panda Gaming, Blue Esports Fire, and Yaoke Infinite, they're sitting at 1-4. If the season ended today, 2 of those teams are making the playoffs. And I think that's correct, right?
I believe it's just top 6.
Oh, it's top 6. Never mind. Flay and them would be sweating if RPG and them had made the playoffs. But if they want a shot, they need to start figuring out what they're going to do. Out of those 3 teams, who do you think could make a run at making it to the playoffs?
I think it's a pretty big long shot for all 3 teams. If I had to give it to one, the one team that kind of sticks out in my mind is probably Blue Esports Fire. I know they're probably the newest team coming into the CCS because we had the team that either dropped out or something happened. I'm not sure if there was a rule breaking there, but they dropped, so we had to add Blue Esports Fire to kind of keep the teams as 10. But all three teams are 3-9 as a game record. So in realistic sense, all 3 of them are kind of fighting for that spot, whether to be eliminated or to kind of reserve that qualifying spot for the next tourney. So while they might not necessarily be fighting for playoffs, they're still kind of fighting for their chance to even be considered to be still in the CCS. And if you're Zeal Blue, obviously, they're 0-5 in their match record, but they're only one game back on their actual game record. So it's not like they're completely out of it either in terms of fighting for that spot. So I really hope these teams don't give up. They actually continue to improve. They continue to grind out solo queue, continue to grind out practices, because this is a pretty big deal for like not even them, but for the rest of the Wednesdays league, because while the top 6 is a pretty clear distinction between them, it can definitely bring a challenge for that 7, 8, 9 spot, because if those teams are improving, especially for collective, like collective could very easily like drop maybe like a set or two, and any of those bottom teams could take their playoff spot if they keep improving and keep grinding.
Yeah, because you don't want to get relegated. I know that we meme sometimes on Zeal Blue, but you don't. Like, the last thing you want to do is have to face uncertainty, right? Like, do you want to get dropped by a league? So, like, you don't want to face that. But I do agree. I think that, one of these teams might try to make a run at it if collective effort drops some matches against some of the top teams. But going on to the Thursday standings, and I know that, we constantly see in the chat where you've got players like Mossy that, do some trash talking, on behalf of Goldfish Gaming. And I know that Flay has said in the past, like, can you really trust this team in a best of 5? They are 10-0, and they're 5-0 on the year.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about this team? Do you think that Goldfish Gaming has what it takes to continue this trend?
Yes. I've been pretty high on Goldfish Gaming since the lock-in tournament. I'm pretty sure like I was one of the few teams to say that they'd make a pretty decent run into it. I know Flay was always like, oh, they're the coin flip team, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I knew going into the league that these guys were going to be one of the top teams, competing with Horizon Gaming, obviously. But Horizon Gaming taking a pretty big stumble, I would say, dropping a game to Sensei Squad. Even though Sensei Squad is currently 4th at 3-2, sitting at 6-5, I would say Horizon Gaming is probably the much better team in that series. And to drop a game against them can be pretty devastating in terms of standings, because if they play Goldfish Gaming and lose that series, that puts them right in the middle of the pack between 3rd and 8th. Because everyone else is either 3-2 or 2-3. So Thursday's group is going to get very, very exciting for the next couple of weeks, because any team from like 3rd to 8th can legitimately make playoffs. So each and every single week is going to be a fight for your playoff lives, and that's just really exciting for me.
And that's the big thing, is that Goldfish Gaming, I like what they are doing. You do wonder though, since this is a team facing against a, kind of lesser competition. Yeah, and there's no denying it. The Wednesday division is a lot tougher in terms of like the level of competition to the Thursday, but you can't take away the fact that they're 10-0. They're 5-0. So I feel as though Mossy and them have a real chance of continuing this. But Horizon Gaming, what are we doing? Like, I know Sensei Squad has that chance of always upsetting someone, and I do like Sensei Squad.
Yeah.
But like, if you're one of the top teams, what are you doing? Like, are you just dropping games like that? Because you can't. This is going to be such a toss up on who's going to take the top of the Thursday division.
Yeah.
So how bad of a stumble is this?
I think if you're Horizon Gaming, it definitely leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like, I know, like, kind of going back to Goldfish Gaming a little bit, talking with Mossy after their set, the level of confidence that this guy has in Thursday's group, saying that they're probably not going to scrim, or they're not going to practice any other CCS team besides maybe DNX, like, or maybe even Hard Hat. Like, that's the only other teams that Goldfish is paying attention to. They're not even paying attention to any other Thursday team. And for Horizon Gaming now, yeah, they might have had that level of confidence, but I don't think there's a real way you can just show up to this upcoming match and say, oh, it's a guaranteed win because you went 0-2 to Sensei Squad. You're going to have to like step it up to another level if you want to be able to retain that second place spot, because second place is a pretty big deal. You get a first round bye. And first round bye, obviously, I mean, for other sports, it's like a really big deal because it allows your players to rest. It allows your players to like recoup, and like you can like watch the team play, and you can kind of have that knowledge being given to you. But, for this, like if you play that third place match, especially for how close Thursday's group is, like I said, any team from 3rd to 8th can like legitimately win games. Like their game records are so close. Sorry, excuse me.
No, it's fine.
Like these guys, they're gonna have to step it up. I've said it a lot. I'm not sure exactly what happened against Sensei Squad. I'm sure like Bravo or someone that team could attest as to why they got O2'd. But hopefully, it's one of those things where it can be like a kind of like a refresher for them. Like, hey, we're not this unbeatable top team. We have to play our respects. We have to play a better game, or else, we could see this team potentially drop. I mean, I personally see Horizon Gaming, if they play to the level they know how to play at, staying at that 2nd spot. But I wouldn't say they're anywhere near close to Goldfish Gaming right now.
And I'll also say this for Goldfish Gaming, because you made a point of like, oh, hey, they're only looking at DNX. Don't look too far ahead. Time and time again in sports, we see, oh, the top team loses to someone that's lesser somehow. Don't overlook your competition. Granted, some of these teams like Crosspoint Origin, am I expecting them to 2-0 Goldfish Gaming? No, like that's unrealistic, right? But if you start to overlook your opponents and then you get to like the real playoffs, who knows what happens in a best of 5? So I caution, I would say caution to Goldfish Gaming. Please don't overlook your competition, because the last thing you want is to fall flat and then you get memed to hell. Yeah. And that will happen, because granted, we've seen that with PGO. They get memed all the time because of what happened with Richie Goons. Yeah. So the last thing Mossy and them wants is everyone pinging them in the trash talk about it.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, especially with Puffzone. Yeah, sorry. Especially with Puffzone saying that they were going to beat Goldfish Gaming, and Goldfish Gaming, basically whipped them in place after their 2-0 last week. So, PGO has taken some pretty hefty losses so far. Obviously, the big one being Grinchy, and then another one to Goldfish Gaming. But yeah, obviously for Goldfish Gaming, the worst time to take your first loss is probably going to be playoffs. That would be like a really bad time to drop a series, is when you actually drop it into playoffs. So if it were to happen, personally, I don't see it happening in Thursday's group. But like you said, if they're not careful enough, that they could potentially do that. If they just try to say, oh, we can play aggressive, we can make mistakes, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to matter. They're not going to punish, because, each and every one of these teams are like busting their tail to work to be better. Because I mean, I don't think anyone likes seeing Goldfish Gaming, like they play them and all of a sudden, boom, 25 minutes, game over every single game. I don't think any team particularly likes going through that. So I know for sure, like the other teams, like I know Horizon, Shadow Z, like they're preparing for that match against Goldfish Gaming, because they want to be the team that says, hey, we beat Goldfish Gaming, we deserve to be at the top of the list.
And moving on to that, I'm looking at Sensei Squad. They 2-0'd Horizon Gaming. And then I also take a look at a team like Shadow Z. And I like what I see from these two. They're not like world beaters, but I feel as though that's the type of team, those are the type of teams that can make a shot. Maybe upset someone in the playoffs and make a magical run. And so it kind of warms my heart to see that it's not just two teams that are dominating a division, but we're seeing teams like like Sensei Squad and Shadow Z trying to make a run. Out of those two, though, who do you feel has a realistic chance of making a run in the playoffs?
I think both teams have a pretty good chance of like competing day in and day out for the playoffs. I know for a fact Shadow Z, one of the teams that I was kind of hesitant on being like a top team, because they had young Nats switching from AD carry to top lane. Like kind of same thing with Ilverica. I was like, I mean, it can work, but I don't know how well it's going to work. And then for Sensei Squad, like Sensei Squad has been like performing each week. They're doing very, very well. So, but at the same time, when it comes to playing a best of 5, I feel like best of 5s are completely different animals. Like you kind of have to treat it much, much differently in terms of like approaching the game. You have to have a draft plan. You have to be able to adapt to enemy teams' draft each and every single game, and you have to win 3 games. And for a series that lasts up to 5 games, like that can be pretty challenging for teams that might not have as deep pools as like you would say like maybe Goldfish Gaming or like Horizon Games. I know those two teams have very deep pools, so they can kind of dive deep into their champion pools to figure out, okay, game 4, I know this is going to beat this guy because like he doesn't play the matchup well enough. So I feel like that could be a case of where like their inexperience can kind of show, especially for players that are like switching roles to a different role. But for a best of 3, I mean, you can definitely have situations where like you can win a best of 3 due to enemy teams making mistakes. But when we get to playoffs, that's when teams are like, okay, it's all or nothing right now. So we're going to put all that we have into it. And so hopefully each team is able to perform. But I don't see them particularly being like a top contender, like to make it out of Thursday's group, because I think Horizon and Goldfish are just the two best teams by what I would say a pretty fair margin.
All right, my next question for you, Ryan, is we're looking at the playoff standings, and I'm going to say there is a separation between Sensei Squad and PGO, just because PGO has dropped some pretty blunders in this league so far. But out of PGO, Team Death Realm, Iconic Severance, and Zeal White, all 4 of them have a legit chance of making into that top 6. Out of those 4, who do you think has a chance to lock in a playoff spot? Because for me, I think Iconic, if Iconic gets to a game 3, all bets are off. Iconic at game 3 is synonymous with winning. But also, TDR isn't too far away. They have a chance to also make some noise. So who do you got locking in those 2 spots?
I think PGO is a pretty clear favorite to lock a playoff spot. I think while they have dropped the game to Grinchy and Goldfish pretty soundly, I do think they're a good team. I do think they've made a lot of blunders, but at the same time, it's better to make those mistakes now and be the best team you possibly could going forward into playoffs. So hopefully they're able to step it up and start performing at a higher level that I'm sure this team knows they can play at. And then for the final playoff spot, I mean, I think if I was a betting man, I would say Team Death Realm, but I definitely wouldn't put it past Iconic or Zeal White to kind of scrape out a potential playoff spot, because I know Iconic, they played 5 series. They've won at least 1 game in 4 of those series. So they definitely know how to win some games. It's just gonna have to find a way to potentially scrape out some of those wins against the higher seeded teams in order if they want to fight for that 6th place spot. Because I mean, I would personally say Team Death Realm is gonna be that 6th seeded team, but I would not put it past Iconic. And for everyone else in Thursday's group, they should find a way up in there to make their way into that series if they really need to. So hopefully that makes it happen. But if I was betting man, I would say TDR.
All right. Well, before we introduce our guests, real quick, Grinchy Goons, they're 1-4. Crosspoint Origin is 0-5. But between Crosspoint Origin and Zeal Blue, who do you think is going to have the better record at the end of all this?
Should you say Crosspoint and Zeal Blue?
Yeah.
That's a pretty tough question. I would say probably I'm going to go with Zeal Blue. Finishing with a better record, because I know for Thursday's group, there's a lot of teams that are still kind of like I said, 3 through 8 are still really fighting for that playoff spot. So like those teams don't have anything, like they can't drop a set if they want to be like in terms of like making the playoffs. Zeal Blue's side of it, they have basically top 6, and as I would say, it's pretty decided already. With Collective, since they 2-0'd, they basically had a pretty big gap between 7th and 6th. So I would say the bottom teams are probably going to be fighting with it against each other, maybe. And I do think that Crosspoint Origin is probably the worser team compared to Zeal Blue. So, but I would say that Zeal Blue has a better record.
All right. All right, let's welcome in our guests, the Rat Squad themselves, the defending champions, and also the defending MVP. We have ourselves Rowdy, Randy, and Flan. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, yeah. So, real quick question for you guys. Beginning of the season was just rough. What's no doubt about it. What have you guys done so far in these last 2 weeks to kind of turn around and start to make a run at the standings?
Well, I got internet that doesn't disconnect every minute, so that helped a lot. I think
it helped a lot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I just saw your pictures.
Yeah, I was trying on a new jacket today, so I thought
hey, I'm not a jungler. Wait a minute.
Yeah, he's not a jungler.
Oh wow. My goodness!
Imagine saying Rowdy Randy's a jungler.
Yeah, so I got a new jacket today. I just gotta spend my money. That Flay's money that we won last season. So yeah,
Ooh,
shout outs to Flay,
okay.
got me my jacket. But yeah,
Okay.
to answer your question, Brankles, I guess we had a big little sit down at the fire, and we were like, guys, we are very bad, so let's just be better. And it
Hey, I
seems to
mean,
be working.
yeah,
And
I mean, I like that. Yeah.
yeah, so my next question, guys, is that we've seen some other teams where they are essentially throwing in the towel on their rosters and they're changing it up or subbing this person or benching that. How, why did you guys stick with your five, and what does it mean to know that it's that you stuck it through together?
Am I going first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I thought the team was better after last season, but obviously not. So.
True. Yeah, I guess the reason we haven't done any swaps is not really sure. I mean, it's just kind of cringe, to be honest. It is a plat league, so I mean, I think given that we won last splits, I think like honestly, the answer is I don't think we need to really swap. I think what we can do is probably threaten someone's position in their family, but I think like panic swapping when something is going wrong is just a little bit cringe. It's kind of throws off chemistry, kind of messes everything up. Because like, what if that swap like completely fails and then you just ruin all your chances at dropping? But I think the method we're going with, as fellow rats, I think it's working. So.
And why the Rat Squad? Like, what really made you guys accept this moniker as continue? I mean, we're seeing videos being made where it's got the guitar riff from I can't remember.
Freebird?
Freebird?
Yeah,
Freebird,
Freebird. So, like, what made you guys
Christ.
accept this moniker of the Rat Squad?
We've been ratting for over a year now.
Yeah, we just really like rats.
Yeah.
To be honest, I wasn't
And,
expecting it to be a brand, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
And for those in the chat, if you guys do have any questions for these two, just throw them in there, and I'll see if I can get to them. But Orion, do you have any questions for them about their performances so far?
I think I have a question for Flan. Just kind of like I know, especially with the whole when Bjergsen was kind of popping up in his mid lane role, it was Bjergsen in 4 wards. I know before people have said it's basically Philly B in 4 wards.
Oh, I say
I
it
know.
too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So I was gonna
Preach.
ask, like, how does it? I mean, how does that make you feel? Like, playing on Philly B's team, where like you're, do you feel like you're just a ward, or do you feel like you're like putting in a lot of effort into a lot of these games? Like, I wouldn't say a lot of effort, but like you're putting in your work, your specific work to win at these certain amount of games, or do you just feel like if Philly B doesn't get ahead, it's just GG's?
Oh well, if I were to tell you exactly, it would be a scouting note for other teams. But
Yeah.
I suppose in terms of like mentality, I'm trying to sort of because be honest here, if he's ahead, we tend to usually just win the game. So ideally, the role I tend to play is like the insurance. So if he's like doing a little bit of trolling or we do a little bit of tomfoolery together, then at least if one of us hands our bounty, then it's okay. But we personally, I've been trying to get better, I guess, every day that I play. So that's we're less dependent on just Randy carrying us, but I think a lot of our team is trying to do that as well. So we're just trying to take some of the weight off of his shoulder, so we don't look like wards. But I mean, given how we started, I definitely would agree that narrative is correct. But I think we're starting to find, I guess, our stride again. So we'll see how that goes near the end of the second half.
Yeah, and I know I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but you guys 2-0ing Yaoke Infinite was a pretty clear, basically a gap that you guys made between 6th place and 7th place. Was there ever a worry in your guys' group that you were potentially not going to be making playoffs after basically running it back as the CCS winners?
Not really, no, right?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
I think this week or like last week, we were just chilling pretty much. Like on the prep we were chilling, and then during game we were chilling. So it wasn't really that like stressful. And
The games
I
were
mean,
very chill.
yeah.
We
we
were
they
having
were
a lot of
super
fun.
so it was definitely good for us because like when we win, we tend to have a lot of fun with it. So this week was one of those weeks. So it kind of gives us a like, hey, we can like work our way to get back to this part where we're just having fun and just killing everybody.
Mhm.
That's just kind of how we did it last split. So
All right. Well,
Yeah,
my next question though is that you guys are in. It is viewed as one of the tougher divisions out of the two, but if you guys could face teams like PGO and Goldfish Gaming that were part of the CCS last year, how would you feel about going up against them? Because I know Mossy and them talk a big game. What would your record be against them?
In a
I
best
mean,
of five,
we in a best of 5, a 3.
a clean 3-0.
True.
Okay. And this,
I mean,
this is
I
against
mean,
Goldfish and PGO.
let's be real here. PGO, they did exactly what they did last time, where they talked a lot before their match and then they got swamped on. So I think honestly, if they just keep repeating the script, it's going to happen over and over. I'm gonna be real about that one. For Goldfish, I mean, we've only played them once in the regular split, right?
And we clowned them. So
Yeah. So I mean, if I can't remember what their roster was last split, but I know they made some
it's the
changes.
same
But
roster, I think, isn't it?
I don't know if there's some core. If they kept their core, maybe I think we still win. I think we still just win if we
So
aren't bad.
I got you. So are you saying that since Goldfish Gaming is just destroying Thursday's group, would you say that Wednesday's group is just like miles ahead since you guys are currently 6th and you would beat them in a 3-0?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
No, all right, all right. So we do have a
Oh,
question
it's
for you
nice.
guys. Someone in the chat is asking, how dog is Flay?
Oh, he's pretty dog.
He's pretty dog.
He's pretty dog.
Probably the worst league owner I've met, and we've been in pretty shit leagues. And I owned a league, and you guys
Yeah,
met
this guy
me. So
owned a league. Yeah.
like,
I see.
Yeah, this guy's a pretty dog.
you got to be bad to be
Wouldn't
worse
trust
than
him.
Philly B Esports. I'll be
Wouldn't
real.
trust him with anything, really. Honestly, like I think everyone else but him is what's carrying this league. So
Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Flay, if you're in the chat, RIP. My next question for you, for you, Randy, is that
The rat.
the rat. We do see, like, because I'll make the reaction videos, and then we'll see like the power rankings. How's it feel to see that you guys are starting to get more and more respect throughout the season? It's not just like, oh, this team struggled and we're just going to completely, dog on them for the rest of the year. But you guys are starting to get more and more respect from other teams and other people in the community.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say the team's getting more respect. I think in the power rankings, mainly just them saying I'm good, and then they're just shitting on my team the entire time.
yeah,
So
we got
usually
pretty
the
dogged
weekly
on
power
that.
rankings is just me
Yeah.
making fun of everyone because they get roasted so hard. And,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
last week we got pretty dogged on.
You guys got dogged on
Yeah,
really
we got
hard.
ripped on. It was so funny, actually.
It was hilarious.
It was a great read, actually. So whoever
Well,
wrote that was pretty
I
sick.
I don't understand. Like I love, like, whenever I watch your guys' matchups, I do enjoy seeing, Tisda on the Aatrox. Because I remember I was in the watch party and Flay was just like, why are they allowing him to have Aatrox? So like for you guys, you know, what's it mean whenever you read these power rankings and you guys are just like, is it just a big meme to you guys at this point, or is it just like adding fuel to the fire?
It's just for laughs.
It's laughs.
I don't think anyone cares. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like quite literally, I think it's very similar to like other leagues as well when they do their powered rankings. It's like mainly, I guess, I mean, I don't know who does ours, but the other ones are like player driven, so it's just like one player egoing on everyone. But I don't know. In this case, I think it's a coach that writes this one, but I mean, I guess I talked to them before. And I guess they're on the staff, so I guess they have some credibility. But I mean, it serves good content and gives me a good laugh.
Right, and one thing that I have noticed throughout the split so far for you guys is that, people are saying like, oh, it's the Rowdy Randy and Four Wards. So whenever Orion was making that point, and I heard you guys, you were saying like, oh, it's people are just trashing on my teammates. For you, Randy, what's it mean for you to also know that you have your teammates back? Like you guys are all working together, and you guys are going to, make some noise. I personally, I do feel like you guys do have a shot in the playoffs. That's just me. But like, how does it feel to know that you guys have each other's backs and that you support each other in this?
Well, our team environment is more we rag on each other more than anyone else ever could. So it doesn't matter what anyone else says in the power rankings or whatever chat. We're just chilling and we're having fun and we're gonna stomp playoffs. I mean, we close.
Yeah,
So, go ahead. Go ahead,
yeah,
Orion.
and that's what I was gonna say. And ultimately, regular season really does not matter as long as you guys do what you say and just stomp playoffs, right? I mean, ultimately for you guys, I mean, if you guys are sixth or if you're first, it really doesn't matter as long as you end up making playoffs. And right now, you're at the cusp of barely making playoffs. So, like, are you guys do you guys see yourself as finishing the regular season as that sixth place team, or are you guys looking to fight for that potentially third or like fourth place position?
We're aiming for
we'll
fourth.
fight for it. Yeah, aiming for fourth.
I got you.
We're gonna fight for it. Yeah,
That's good.
All right. My next question for you guys is in my reaction video, I put you guys as the rat master himself from the movie Barnyard. Did you guys get a chance to watch the reaction videos this week?
Biggie Cheese.
Big cheese. Biggie cheese. Yeah, but going from that though, one thing that when I take a look at the standings, is there any team actually in your guys' division that you feel as though is a threat to you guys? It's not Zeal Blue, obviously, but is there any team above you guys that you view as a threat?
It's definitely Zeal Blue.
It's Seal Blue. My boy Sage owns Seal Blue. I'm shaking. But I mean the only team we have left that we're really
It's like DNX,
at all
right?
looking for is DNX, I think, which is
Yeah.
week 8. So it should be a good match.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Are you guys going to be the first team to take a game off of them?
Ideally.
At least a game.
Ideally, yeah.
Nice.
The set
right,
probably even better, but it would be
So-
nice if we took the set too.
For the teams that are below you guys, Red Panda Gaming, Blue Esports Fire, Infinite and Seal Blue. Which team would you feel as though would give you the hardest time in a best of 5?
I think RPG was not bad.
RPG is actually pretty good,
Yeah.
right?
Wait, we haven't gone against Blue or Zeal Blue yet, I guess. But when we went against RPG, I don't think they were that bad. I think they just cleaned some stuff up. They could be pretty decent.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Orion, do you have any questions about their picks though? Because I know we see that some teams are dependent, like Dr. Phil and Chill, on the victor. So, is there any picks that you want to ask them about?
I guess I'm more curious on like Flan. I guess you said you're the more the facilitator type of guy. Like, is that why like you've been playing back more like is the Ziggs your kind of like go-to champion that you feel like you can just be on an island in the bot lane and just kind of farm it out all day, or is that champion like more of like a comfort thing for you? And then I guess for Randy to answer the question as well, you seem to be more of the guy that likes the style on enemy mid champions. Like, is that just like you feel like you're just miles ahead of other mid laners and you can play those very aggressive champions, or do you feel like those champions are just like the best mid lane champions for the meta, and like you think if you don't pick them, you're trolling?
I mean, I think my style is just getting rowdy, and those champs it's what I've always really played, and it's just what I'm best at. I can definitely play like I would say the champs I have been playing are definitely not the meta. It's just what I like to play.
Yeah.
But I could definitely play the meta champs, especially in a plat league. I mean, I can play what I want to play, and if I'm good enough at it, it's better than playing the meta, to be honest.
Okay.
I guess
Go ahead.
For me, sorry, because you asked 2 questions. Yeah, I guess for me, like in terms of the Ziggs, I mean, it just opens up an AP option for for Philly's rowdy champ pool. So I mean, it's whatever allows them to go rowdy, I'll play it. In terms of like, do I actually like main the champ? Not really. I mean, I do some cool stuff with it, but definitely could still use some work always. This patch is actually looking very good for me though, because it's kind of reminiscent of last split's 80 carry patch. So probably hoping to game a little bit harder than what I am right now.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. And my next question for you, Randy, is that I remember in our conversation in the podcast last season, you guys were talking about how, hey, this is like, this new adventure of playing in a different league. And now that you guys are into, your second split, part of the CCS, what's it like knowing that you guys have, stuck together and you're continuing this? It's not just a, hey, we joined a league, we left, we went other places, but you stuck with the CCS. What's it mean for you guys to know that you are playing in your second split here?
Well, we came back. Well, last split when we joined this league, it was originally supposed to be our scrim league, and we were going to do another one. Then we ended up just liking the CCS, and we won. So we came back, and honestly, you guys are. CCS has probably been the best league I've played in so far. Right, Flat?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's better than some other ones that I've played in for sure.
And this split, the competition's actually there. So
yeah,
good.
Good for you guys.
No, and Flan, my question for you though is that we take a look at the people put in the power rankings of like or tier lists of the ADCs. Is there anyone on that list that you feel as though is like what were they thinking when they put that together?
I mean, to be completely honest, I haven't even looked at that. So if you could like give me a rough estimate or a rough like summary.
Let's see. I know that
Ulrich higher,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or...
I think a lot of people were putting Ulrich as the top ADC. I also think Flay was putting Jenka as a better mid laner than Randy.
That's a little cringe, but Flay already knows he's cringe, so...
Who is Jenka?
Yeah.
What team is he on?
Is it he's Shadow Z? Is that right?
I think he's Shadows. He's mid laner.
That's the VAR team, right? Yeah, Flay's being cringe, so I'll just ignore that one, but...
Also, Flay's about to watch his mouth because we got some dirt on him. Flay,
yeah,
you don't want us leaking this shit, bro. You're done.
Oh. Flay?
Quiet, Flay. Keep it quiet.
Question mark?
Well, Flay's asking, wait, what did I do?
Hey, you know what you've done, Flay. Hey,
he knows.
You better keep quiet over there.
Oh,
anyways.
Yeah, but my other question though for you guys, real quick, is that one thing that I saw someone was saying like, "Hey, they're finally being streamed. Like you guys are finally being streamed." What was it like knowing that you guys finally got back on the stream and you went to your winning ways?
It's not a VOD, at least, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
to be fair, most of the VODs aren't our fault. It's Riot having an awful spectator client. So
I'm just saying now, it felt very nice knowing that we peaked CCS viewership on the secondary stream. So, needless to say, it wasn't even a top
Did
matchup.
we?
It was us versus Red Panda, and that like peaked viewership for them. So it was pretty sick. So
we are the CCS.
Yeah,
it might have also been because you guys dropped a game to them.
That's also true, but we've dropped a game to everyone, right? So I mean, we kind of started poor. Can't really use that.
Oh, we didn't drop a game though. Yeah, okay.
No, yeah, okay, but we definitely dropped a game to Red Panda.
I will say though, with you guys coming back into the league and you guys were the winners of last split, everyone came into this saying, okay, this team is the team to beat. Now you're a middle of the pack team. But basically, like you're the 6th place spot right now, so it's like now there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, anybody can beat this team." So going into playoffs, are there any teams that you're like not necessarily maybe afraid of, but like are there any teams in playoffs that you're looking at saying like this team can legitimately beat us in playoffs, or are you looking to run the table?
Hell no. We're running the table, right?
We're running the table, but
if you want to think that we're a team to beat, think about it. It'll hurt more when we beat you. That's all I'm gonna say. But like, It's good. It's good that you don't consider us as a top team anymore, because that's what happened in the first split. So, and look where that got us. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it's hard to consider you guys a top team when there's two teams that haven't even dropped a match yet.
That's true. That's true. But the keyword is yet.
That is true. And when you guys do beat DNX, that's when teams are going to start saying, "Hey, collective playoff winners, like, are they running it back?" But if you guys lose to them, then all this talk is for naught.
Nah,
not true.
not true.
We're just gonna run playoffs anyways. Regular season doesn't matter.
I'm excited. I'm ready for you guys to run the table and to take all these haters down. Right now I'm one of them because you guys are in sixth and
you'll be a fan. You'll be a rat soon enough.
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready for you guys to do good and do well. But at the same time, like, I'm one of those guys where, like, you kind of have to prove it to me before I'm gonna say you're a good team. So, but for right now, you guys aren't a good team. So,
what have I got myself into?
I don't want to prove it.
This is
now. That's up to you, my friend. That's up to you if you don't want to prove it or not.
This is almost as like, this is very similar to last year when I had my friend, my other host Hiccup was just like, I'm a PGO fan. They're gonna win it all.
True, I remember.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Orion's gonna be showing up with a friggin' rat shirt next week.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, no one likes that Hiccup guy anyways. So it's like,
whoa, what the
Okay, completely agree. Completely agree.
Oh gosh. Yeah, Hiccup is gonna he's gonna hunt me down. Either that or it's gonna be Zeal's ownership group. They're gonna hunt me down. It's between those two.
Just become a rat.
Oh my gosh. Well, hey, another question I got for you, Flan, is that has there been any ADC so far that has impressed you in your guys' Wednesday division?
I don't even really watch the games, but I guess if your team is higher on the standings, then I guess that's something to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, all ADs throw. I mean, we're babies, so I think all ADs are bad, including myself. So I don't think there's. I mean, one of them just got benched for another ADC. So I mean, poor Ulrich, man. My brother Ulrich, he's a rat. But he got thrown in the top lane because someone better came in. That's injustice. So free my rat brother Ulrich, okay?
Because you guys have other rats as well. Because I think, was it Glacial for RPG is a sewer rat?
We've been converting people all season.
Yeah, we've been converting silently, but it's been working. We even got the mid laner from Yaoke.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Really? Did he change his name too?
Yeah, Venom. Oh. No. He changed his profile pic. He's one of the rats.
Profile picture is all it takes. I don't need the name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but who do you for you guys on your team though? Is there someone that really is the class clown of the group that really gets you guys laughing? Like who gets you guys laughing the most on your team?
Tisda, right?
Laughing because are you talking about laughing about what they say or how they play?
Both, I guess.
That's a good question.
That's how they play. I got to give it to Tisda.
Tisda definitely, but also think.
I don't know. We're all pretty funny, I think.
Yeah,
except Michael.
Funny. Oh yeah, true. Our jungler, yeah.
Our jungler's
he's pretty
unfunny.
serious. Yeah, he's doing collegiate, so he's serious, deadpan, emotionalist, soulless. But that's just how it.
So has Tisda done anything that caused you what's the funniest thing Tisda's done then? Because you were saying
I can send you a clip right now if you want.
We can send you a clip if you want it, but I don't know how fast you can get it on stream.
I don't think I could get it on stream fast enough, but if you guys want to send it to me, was he just inting?
It was hilarious.
You'll see.
Oh, did he pull a Hearthstone and coin flip?
No, it was hilarious.
I just sent it to Hiccup's the producer here, right?
Yeah.
I sent the Hiccup if you want to put that on stream.
You want to get your money's worth right now, Hiccup.
Someone's asking, is it the Gragas clip?
It's the Gragas. Yeah,
it's definitely the Gragas.
Oh,
I don't know how far it's gone.
Oh, he's getting it up there.
We
So
do have confirmation that the Gragas clip is coming.
yeah,
Stay tuned if you want to watch that one.
it's
very elite. It's like our scrims are going well. Can't wait for next week clip.
It was impressive to say the least.
It was very impressive.
Yeah. Hey, do have a question while we wait for that. Talking about scrims, I know that there was some talks in the trash talk about, the etiquette of the scrims. Actually, let's take a look. All right, let's look at this scrim.
We have the clip.
We have the clip up. All right. Okay. I don't know if there's sound.
Yeah. Honestly, you can just take us out of the screen for now. I would just make it as big as possible.
Yeah. Fuck the sound. All right. Don't move the rat. Don't move the rat.
Sorry,
that's you big enough. Yeah.
All right, so is he the one teeing? Ragus is the one teeing onto the minion.
You'll see.
Just let the clip
go. Me up, bro.
Oh, we don't
turbo low. I'm down.
The sound is.
I'm low, but I'm down to come back in to block an engagement from somebody.
I don't know if we can.
What do we do?
Oh, nice.
Gragas engage.
Guys, this tower is 100 health, by the way.
Okay.
Fake hit.
Oh shit! Lord, bro.
Walk away.
Oh shit! Oh, it's over.
Go.
Oh
my god! That was.
I don't know
what was that, bro?
Oh my god! That was.
I don't know
what was that,
No.
bro?
No.
Oh, it's over.
Walk away.
Oh shit! Oh.
Leroy.
Walk away.
Oh shit! Oh, it's over.
Oh. Go.
Yeah, we were like planning to engage, I think, and then he just fucking. I think he heard the game. He heard the name and like the word engage, and his like neuron senses activated.
I was trying to call us off, and then he just.
He said engage. Okay, boys.
Jeez.
We whiffed everything.
All right, well, hey guys, we're up at the end of the broadcast. Yep. Randy and Flan, thank you guys so much for joining us. And folks, don't forget that we have matches on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll have reaction videos after that. Power rankings will be coming out this week. And we also may be seeing some more clips from Elsa the Queen. We don't know yet, but we'll see. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. Orion, thank you for sitting on the desk with me. And you guys have yourselves a great night. And thanks for tuning in to the CC Zone.
Bye-bye.
TA Light, you're done.